y'all, and welcome to today's video. I bought this huge Makeup Revolution Game of Thrones shadow palette. Yes, it is this big. I bought it. I want to test it. I want to try it. I'm going to swatch it for y'all. I'm going to put it on my eyes. We're going to play. I'm going to give you my first impression on this palette and create a look. Now, if you are new here, hey, my name is Mother of Dragons, and my name is Heather, but I love Game of Thrones. I love it. I am the Mother of Dragons. That is my real name, but you can call me Heather if you would like. Here at my channel, we don't try to be perfect. We just want to have a good time with our makeup, whatever that means. Shimmer, glitter, testing the world's largest eyeshadow palette, we're here for it. So if that sounds good to you, I do hope that you will subscribe. Before you leave today, I upload lots of videos every week, almost every day, lots, okay? Last week 8 videos, this week probably 7, who knows? But if you want makeup content, this channel right here is the place to be. I really want to talk about this palette though, so let's jump into it. So I shared with y'all on the community tab the full photo of the full collection, and you know, I couldn't buy everything. There's a lot to the collection. So I will link it down below for y'all for those of you who are curious, because there were some smaller palettes, more monochromatic palettes, but I'm like, you know, the one that has the packaging that interests me is the big one. We'll go with that. And I also bought one other thing. It's a sponge. I did use the sponge. It's okay. It's not my favorite sponge, but listen, I wanted the Iron Throne, and you see your little sponge in the throne. This is cute. Like, this is cute. And this was $8. It's adorable. Little Iron Throne. I love it. I'll just have to get my dragons up here later to melt it, you know. Listen, I figure if you haven't seen Game of Thrones by now, you probably don't want to watch it. So who cares about spoilers, right? But I will say, listen. I have not started watching House of Dragon. Me and my husband are waiting for all the episodes to build up, and we're going to binge it. So no, do not tell me about the show. Do not tell me about the new show, okay? Let's talk about this palette. Now, this palette was $32, and there are 48 shades. You get a lot of shades for your $32, but $32, like, that's up there in price, okay? So I like this box a lot. It's very cool. I wish this sticker that they put on it, I just wish they would have put it on the back. Like, I think it's a good idea, especially if this is in a store, like on display for in-person shopping, to have this so people can see what the palette looks like. I just wish they would have put it on the back, because it kind of ruins the aesthetic of the palette, you know, because it was a really cool box, and then you have that sticker on the front. All right, let me talk about packaging before we talk about the inside, okay? Because listen, I'm a fan. If you're not a fan, you can like fast forward to the swatches and application, okay? Do you see what I see? Do you see what I see? $32. This is the front of the palette, and you couldn't line up the map. That literally would have taken an intern like 4 more minutes, probably less than that, to make sure that this, like, the map of Westeros and the cities lined up. Like, what is this? This is the front of the palette. Like, this opens. This is the front of the palette, and it looks like this. I won't let it go. This was $32. This wasn't a $5 palette. Literally, you could have told the intern, hey, can you fix it? Like, that's an easy fix. Come on now. That angered me. When I pulled this out of the box, I was like, the laziness irritates me. Now, I am going to show you the inside of this palette because it's large. I don't want to keep holding it up. I want to show you a close-up of the palette. This is a eyeshadow palette and pressed pigment palette. So they just call it a shadow palette, not an eyeshadow palette, because there are some pressed pigments. I don't care. To me, they're all eyeshadows. You don't want to put them on your eyes, that is fine. You want to not use the pressed pigment, that's fine. You do you. I'm just telling you for this video, I'm going to do me. And I'm going to put whatever shades I want to on my eyes. Let me show you swatches of this palette, and let me kind of talk to you about the color story. Now, there's 48 shades, so you're going to see them in two different things because I couldn't fit 48 shades on my arm. There are a lot of shades that are very similar, but that doesn't necessarily bother me because, especially in a larger palette, because a smaller palette, you usually curate a little bit more, you know? But when you have a larger palette, I understand saying, okay, I want the same shade in different variations because, you know, I know there are a lot of people, and me too sometimes, I want to go in with, say, like a dark brown, then a medium brown, then a light brown. So I'm not even going to hate on it for having similar shades, but I do think they could have sprinkled in just a little bit more. When you have 48 shades, I feel like they could have added a few more colors. You know what I mean? Like just a few more colors. But, you know, I don't hate palettes that have similar shades. That doesn't bug me when it's this big. So, you've seen the swatches. You've seen the inside of the palette. I want to try this on my eyes because for me in the past, Makeup Revolution has not been a very consistent brand. I would say the best eyeshadows that I've ever tried from Makeup Revolution were definitely the collaboration they did with Emily Noel. Emily and Makeup Revolution teamed up. They did a great job. I thought those palettes were so good. And the rest of the palettes I have not loved as much. Makeup Revolution for me has just been kind of hit or miss, you know? So I'm hoping this palette on the eyes is going to be a hit. I mean, there's no way I'm going to get 48 shadows on my eyes, but I just want to play with this palette. I want to, you know, give you my first impression, just see how it is overall. So when you're watching this video, keep in mind it is not a full review where I've tried everything. It's going to be my first impression. This literally just came in the mail today. I'll also say, like, on the inside, since we're talking about packaging, there is like you know, like when you glue a sheet of paper down and you don't glue it flat and there's little like ripples or air pockets, there is some of that on this palette as well. Oh, and I have to point this out too, because even my son, let me hold this up. Even my son was like, they didn't name all the shades. And I was like, what? They didn't name the shades? That's fine. He was like, no, but they named some of them. And I was like, what? So like these first two rows have no names. And then we have one Sun Spear and then no names. And then King's Landing, a name here, a name here, a name here. Like there are 8 shade names in here. I kind of feel like either name all the shades or don't name any of the shades. I thought it was weird to name just a few of the shades. And like the matte blue is Winterfell. Why? I don't really understand very much. Listen. If you have the Urban Decay Game of Thrones, I understand. Listen, this was $32, okay? This wasn't like we're comparing like a $10 palette to a $52 palette. But the Urban Decay Game of Thrones collab, one of my favorite palettes in my collection. The packaging, beautiful, luxurious, over-the-top, extra in every way. The shades, the houses, the formula, everything. I love that palette. I bought a backup. So I have one that I use and I have a backup because it's so beautiful. The highlighter palette, beautiful. But I'm just throwing that out there. But I have high hopes for this palette. I'm really like looking at the pinks in this palette, the more pinky tones. I'm kind of feeling that. So I think that's what we're going to focus on with the eyes. I am going to prime my eyes for shadow. I'm going to zoom y'all in close and we'll test this one out. Okay, so what I'm going to do, since this palette is so large and I want to be able to keep y'all zoomed in, I'm going to tell you the shade number that I'm using. So if you decide to pick this up, purchase it, you want to recreate the look I'm doing, I will refer to the number, okay? just because it's so large to fit on and there aren't any names. And then if you're like shopping your stash, maybe you're looking for some inspiration, you know, you'll be able to see the color as I apply it. So here we go. Okay, now I'm gonna put on eye primer for real. Okay, so I'm taking shade 17, the hot pink, and I'm gonna start with this shade. I'll have played, like I said, with some Makeup Revolution palettes, and I have found that it's better to start with like the brightest shade or the deepest shade first, rather than like working your lightest shade and layering deepest shades on top. So I really want to get the most pigment that I can from this shade, so I'm just like pressing it on first. And I definitely have the pigment, so that's good. You see, I'm not worried about blending so much right now because I'll go back and blend in a second. But that was a BH Cosmetics brush. That was from their Birthstone brush set. I'm not sure if they still have it. This is a BH brush too that I know they don't make anymore. But now I'm going in with that shade. This is shade 33. And this is like a pinky red. Not a red, but a pinky red. So I'm just pressing that right out here in this outer portion, and then I will blend from there. So pressing the pigment on and then slowly blending. Okay, now I want to take this Odin's Eye brush and go into the shade 35, the purple, and I'm going to put this on the lower lash line. Now, I have to say, these shades look nice and pigmented. They blended well. I think it's looking pretty good. I haven't blended it out completely. I will get there, but I will say I think that's kind of the way to go. Put on your eye primer and then go in with the shadow that you want like the most pigment from, rather than, you know, putting on a transition shade and then a deepening shade. Go in with your deepening shade and then blend out from there, because I have some really, really nice pigment here. Now I have the purple shade. I'm just going to, okay, that's not really showing up, very, very lightly. So listen, this is what we're gonna do. I primed my eyes with my matte paint pot in LAYIN Low. I'll have it linked down below, but I'm actually gonna prime my under eyes. I never do this, never do I do this, but I want to give these shadows the best chance to work. So it's not that big a deal. I just buffed that right on the lower lash line. So I'm going to take this Odin's Eye brush and I'm going to press it on very gently because it is my under eye. And that looks good. I mean, that's not the most pigmented purple. I was hoping for a little more saturation from it. But yeah, you can see it. There you go. Okay. So if you're like me and you don't normally, you know, prime your under eye area, try that, because that's way better. Because without that, when I first pressed my brush down, I could see like it was, the powder was kind of floating away. And now like it's sticking to the primer. So yay. Okay, so I'm taking this fluffy BH Cosmetics brush and I went into the very first shade. It's this really light, kind of creamy pink shade. And I just barely picked some up on my brush, and I'm buffing out kind of around the shadows. So you see what I mean? I didn't start with the light color and then layer these brighter colors on top. I'm kind of like doing it in reverse and blending that way. And I think that's working well, y'all. Look at this. I think this is pretty. Okay, so far the look is coming together well. I want to do some shimmers on the lid. Looking at the palette, I do wish there were maybe some more colorful shimmers. We have some, there is a blue shimmer. Maybe we could do the blue because I want to keep this look really, really colorful. The pinky shimmers aren't necessarily like these vibrant ones, but we do have some options. We have some options. So I don't know. I was thinking like we could do the blue. That could be fun. And it definitely could if you're, you know, doing your makeup along with me and you're feeling a blue shimmer. I think that would be beautiful. But what I think I'll do is this kind of like purpley shade. So this is shade 25. And I want to set this palette up for success. So I'm going to take a little bit of my KARLA Fix Potion. It's basically like a glitter primer, glitter glue, something that makes, you know, like shimmers or loose pigments or something like that really stick. So I don't want to look up too much because I don't want to crease it. And I'm going to put the shimmer on with a fluffy brush because a fluffy brush will help like disperse the shimmer and give shadows a little more sparkle, in my opinion. They can be a little messy. I don't care. Like I said, I'm not trying to get perfect makeup, okay? I'm just trying to have a good time over here. Now, I'm keeping my eyes down this whole time because I want that kind of Fix Potion to get a little tacky. Not to be wet, I want it to be a little tacky. So I'm just keeping my eyes down. I've given it a little bit of time to not completely dry down, but so that it's not just going to be completely wet. So, okay. I'm just going to like press this on with this fluffier brush on top of the KARLA Fix Potion. I'm going to press, and then I'll blend in a second. So that's cute. I mean, it's kind of a standard shimmer formula, nothing like super crazy and sparkly, but I think it looks nice. I think it looks nice. Okay, okay. All right, just pressing it on. So that's coming together. Okay, that's looking cute. How many shades have we used? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All right, cute, 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 cute. Let me see though, you know, like now that I'm looking at it, I'm like, okay, let me go back and make sure this like strawberry color is really nice in there. Sometimes I go back, like I put a shimmer down, I go back to another brush because sometimes, you know, shades can get a little bit lost. So I'm just gonna make sure that shade is still there. And I'm thinking maybe we'll add a little bit more drama. So let me grab this tiny little BK Beauty brush and I'm gonna go into the shade 48. This is like a black matte with shimmer, like a gold shimmer. And I'm going to press that right here. So I'm layering it right on top of the strawberry shade, but I'm keeping it much lower. Just right there in the outer corner. Doesn't that look good? Okay. Okay. Yeah, that looks nice. Just adding a little bit of depth right there. Okay, so that was shade 48. The matte black with the sparkle. All right, let's do an inner corner highlight. Let's go for it. Where's the little brush? Okay, sugar drizzle brush. The other brush I used for the lid shade was also a sugar drizzle brush. Now I'm looking, and there's definitely some shimmers in here that you can tell, like there's two different formulas. This being like the more sparkly one, the one that looks like it has a little more sparkle and texture to it in the pan, and then there's some that just look like a more straight up smooth shade. So what we'll do is we'll go into shade 11, which is, it looks just kind of like a pearlized pink. Yeah, like a pearl vanilla with just a tiny hint of like a cool pink to it. Okay. All right. Well, I normally don't just finish one eye and leave the other one alone, but that's how it worked out because I was so like interested in trying these. But let me do the same thing over here. Let me do liner, lashes, collect my thoughts. I'll be back because I definitely have some thoughts to share. Okay. This is the finished look, and I know y'all are thinking, Heather, is this palette a hit? Is it a miss? Tell us. And let me say, first of all, I put on some Kiss You Do You lashes. I put on the purple KVD eyeliner in the lower waterline because I was like, let me kind of enhance this purple we have. Okay, $8 for this little Iron Throne sponge. If you want to have like, you know, this as like merch to set on your desk, I think it's adorable. It's $8. Will I keep this forever? Probably not. The sponge, it's fine. It's a fine sponge, you know, $8. Get you a new sponge. You want a piece of the collection. You want some merch from the collection. That's really cute. Okay, I only used 7 shades on my eyes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yes. I've only put 7 shades on my eyes. So I'm just going to give you a first impression. I have now swatched the palette. And from the swatches, listen, I try a lot of makeup. A lot of makeup. I love it. I love testing new makeup. And from the swatches, I don't think every shade in here is created equally. But for the 7 shades that I put on my eyes, I think I created a beautiful look. I'm really happy with it. I wouldn't say this is a great palette. Run out and buy it. This palette is amazing. I love it. But it's not a bad palette. I think, you know, like, makeup is not always great or bad. It's not always my favorite or it should go in the trash. I think this falls, like, a little less than great. I think it's a good palette. I think you can create pretty looks. I really like the look I created. You know, I did have to kind of put in a little more effort for some shades, but overall, I think this is good. First impression, of course. I will follow up in a week to a month once I've had more time to play with this palette, test out more shades, really see it with the different things. You know, I want to play with it more before I come back, but I will come back and I will review it. I always do a video reviewing palettes. Like, I put all the palettes in one video. I give you my reviews because I love testing palettes. I love creating looks. I love doing that, but I always like to review palettes as well. So definitely be checking for that. Like I said, in a week, in a month, subscribe so you don't miss out on, you know, when I give you my full review of this palette. But first impression, I think it's good. It's not great, but it's good so far for how my look came out. The packaging, I hate. Like, this, honestly, it makes me so angry because, like I said, this palette was over $30. This is not a $10 palette. No, this palette was over $30. And some of y'all may be thinking, oh, it's just packaging, but this is a Game of Thrones collab. So I think it's kind of a given that the packaging and the theming is something that I'm gonna review, you know? Me, if my dragons came back to me and they had created this, absolutely not. It would not be a good thing, you know? This is not acceptable. This is unacceptable. This, because it's such an easy fix. It's not like oh, you made a tiny mistake. This literally does not line up. It's ridiculous. It is flat out ridiculous. And it doesn't even line up here because I was like, you know what? Maybe if you open it up, like, it carries over. No, it cuts off and they start a new one. It angers me. It angers me. It angers me. So if you're looking for something Game of Thrones, if you were literally just going to buy this just because it's Game of Thrones, I would say no, because it's not well done and it makes me angry. And then they didn't care, like, they could have carried the print over to the back. They still could have put this information but carried the print over. Just very, it felt very rushed and like not a lot of thought or care went into it, in my opinion. What I think they should have done is just done this on the front. You wouldn't have had to worry about lining up a map. You could have done this. You could have opened it up like that. When you closed it, the throne came together. That would have been way better, and not put this this is just goofy. And this is a sticker on the box. So this wasn't like, they put a sticker on the box instead of on the back. Why would you put a sticker on this beautiful cover? So if you're even thinking like, oh, I want to buy the box and I'll display that in my room, it would be beautiful for display, but they ruined it with this sticker. Okay, those are my thoughts. I'll be done ranting about the packaging. I just don't like that. I just don't like that. But I really like the look I created. I think it's so pretty. The colors came out so nicely. It's vibrant, and that's what I was really curious about. I'm like, you know what? You got some colors in here. Are they gonna perform well? And I think they performed good, you know? So I hope this video was helpful if you were thinking about this collection. If not, hopefully it was entertaining. Maybe you had fun hanging out. Maybe you want to recreate this look. You're on a low buy and no buy at Shop Your Stash. I hope I gave you some inspiration. I had fun testing this. I will say that. It's been a few months, I think, since I've tried a Makeup Revolution eyeshadow palette. So I was excited to try it. I will link everything on my face down below for y'all if you want me to. You know what, let me go ahead and tell you, because future Heather editing will forget. Makeup by Mario Soft Sculpt Bronzer, Makeup by Mario Poppy Pink Blush, Michaela and Glam Light Part 2 Highlighter. I'm wearing on my lips ABH Lip Liner in Chai, and then I put on this NYX Bloom Gloss. Hear me when I say these NYX glosses from the Fate Winx Saga collection, I'm not going to tell you what to do. I'm not going to tell you what to do. I'm not going to tell you what to do. I'm never going to tell you to buy everything. But what I will say is I am so happy that I bought all the glosses, because I have been wearing these and wearing these and wearing these and wearing these, and they are not sticky, and they are nice and thin while still feeling hydrating, and they are very sparkly, and they have just the right color to them to where they're not super sheer, but they're not opaque. They're just perfect. This is the shade Bloom. I'm so happy I bought every single shade because they're amazing. Okay, did you like this video? Did you? If you did, give it a thumbs up. I'm filming so late at night. So if I seem a little extra, I'm very tired. I hope you'll have a wonderful, amazing, fun, fantabulous day. Did you shop this collection? Were you curious about it? Let me know. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you're having a great day. I think I already said that. Bye.